Hello there. Thanks for watching. On Sunday mornings, we've been looking through the book of Haggai, the prophet God raised up to encourage the people to start rebuilding the temple. When we look at that, we might question the people. Why didn't they started like 14 or 15 years ago? Why didn't they finish rebuilding the temple? What happened? We might question their spirituality or their closeness to God. Hopefully you've been reading in Ezra, and in Ezra it sheds a different light or a new light on those people and their original intentions. So let's read in Ezra chapter 1, the first 7 verses. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, in order to fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, so that he sent a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and also put in writing, saying, Thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord, the God of heaven, has given me all the kingdom of the earth, and he has appointed me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Whoever there is among you of all his people, may his God be with him. Let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and rebuild the house of the Lord, the God of Israel. He is the God who is in Jerusalem. Every survivor at whatever place he may live, let the men of that place support him with silver and gold, with goods and cattle, together with a freewill offering to the house of God which is in Jerusalem. Even then, the heads of fathers' households of Judah and Benjamin, and the priests and the Levites arose, even everyone whose spirit God had stirred to go up and rebuild the house of the Lord which is in Jerusalem. All those about them encouraged them with articles of silver, with gold and goods, with cattle, with valuables, aside from all that was given as a freewill offering. Also King Cyrus brought out the articles of the house of the Lord, which Nebuchadnezzar had carried away from Jerusalem and put in the house of his gods. I want to say when I read that, I'm impressed. Okay, what am I impressed with? Consider what they were leaving behind, homes and businesses that they had established in compliance with the prophecy that Jeremiah had delivered so many years earlier. I'm impressed in how God is working in a situation to call these people out. I'm impressed that these people considered the challenge of rebuilding a broken and torn down and burnt Jerusalem and temple, and that's what they were setting out to do. I'm impressed in the response to the offering, not only of the people that were going, but of those that supported those that were going. And I'm most of all impressed because they responded in obedience to the call that God had placed upon their life. It's also a story when I look at this passage in Ezra, and I'm reminded of the passage, the study that we're doing in Haggai, of a people who started well. It's a story also of a people who along the way gave up on the process. And it's also a story, as we continue to read in the book of Haggai and in the book of Ezra, of a people who finished well. A people who finished well. When I'm looking at this passage of Scripture about a long story about a building that we don't use anymore, the temple, I'm reminded of my own personal life. And I want to ask the question about you and your personal life. Did you start well? When you became a Christian, you had that zeal and that excitement to go out and to follow God and to serve God in whatever manner that you could. Sometimes in the process of life, we face obstacles, and like those people who started the rebuilding of the temple, our zeal soon fades. The obstacles seem to be too big. Life happens and we turn our attention elsewhere. And I want to, are you still there kind of question? Have you given up or slacked off on your commitment to God? And then I look at this passage of Scripture and I see that they finished well. And it provides hope for those times when we lose that seal, when the commitment loses its edge. God invites us to return to that first commitment, to return to the calling that He has placed upon our life. That's the grace and mercy of God that I see in the story. These people that He called out of Babylon to come back and return to Jerusalem, to rebuild the temple, to rebuild the city. They slacked off. They answered the call, then they slacked off. They lost that commitment. They succumbed to the obstacles that the enemy raised up before them. But then in this passage, and in Haggai, I see that God reaches out to them. And in His love and His mercy, He grants them opportunity to seize once again the calling of God. In our lives, God often gives to us that opportunity to seize and renew that calling that we originally had in our life. That calling that God has on our life to be obedient to Him, to follow Him, and to be a disciple of His. It's a reminder. I don't know where you're at in this process, but it's a reminder that God invites you to walk with Him, to be obedient to Him, and to experience the blessings of that obedience. Thank you.